Hello everyone, welcome back to another AC 130 sports video. Today we're going to be discussing the NFL draft. So next Thursday, April 28th, is the NFL draft. A lot of great storylines this year, but during this video, I want to focus on my hometown team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers have the 20th selection in next Thursday's NFL draft. And I was on ESPN this morning, and Mel Kiper and Todd McShay just released their latest mock draft where they flip-flopped picks. So I believe with the 20th pick, Mel Kiper chose Kenny Pickett from the University of Pittsburgh, quarterback. An interesting selection, it would make a lot of people in Pittsburgh extremely happy. The hometown kid gets to play for the hometown NFL team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot's been made of Kenny Pickett's hand size in the last couple months. I guess he would have the smallest hands out of any of the starting quarterbacks in the league. That really doesn't bother me. If you can throw the football, you can throw the football. If you can play, you can play. 10 years ago, Kyler Murray would have never got drafted number 1 overall because of his height. But, obviously we see what a playmaker he is. So the hand sign doesn't concern me. Didn't really have fumble issues at Pitt. I'm not convinced that is the right direction for the Steelers to go. I don't necessarily mind quarterback. I'm not just crazy about Kenny Pickett. I think it's a lot of added pressure when you get drafted to your hometown team. I just don't see much upside, right? I mean, you already got Mitch Trubisky who, has a limited floor. Why go after a guy like Kenny Pickett, right? Who at his best is going to be a slightly better version of Kirk Cousins, right? Those guys really don't win you Super Bowls too often. I mean, you'd have to really think back the last time Nick Foles, would probably be the last one who was just an average NFL guy who ended up winning a Super Bowl. I mean, Nick Foles in the postseason was a completely different beast. He got that nickname that people in Philly love to scream loud and proud. But I think Nick Foles is really the last guy. I just don't know if you're going to win with one of those guys. If you're going to invest a first-round pick, especially when you already have a great defense, especially when you already have some pieces, I don't know if Kenny Pickett's your guy. I'm looking more into Malik Willis out of Liberty, right? Once again, a scary selection if you take him at 20. Even scary if you trade up to get him. But at least he has that ceiling where you can say, okay, that makes sense. He has that athleticism. He has that big arm. He has something that, you could see 3 to 5 years down the line winning you a crap ton of games and possibly a Super Bowl. So I think that makes more sense for the Steelers in terms of quarterbacks. Malik Willis, both of these guys could be gone well before the Steelers pick at 20th. Carolina Panthers at 6 need a quarterback. Atlanta Falcons, Washington Commanders at 11, and then the Saints just got 2 picks right in front of the Steelers in the NFL draft, so they definitely need a quarterback as well. So who knows? Another interesting name to keep an eye on is Desmond Ridder from the University of Cincinnati. He seems to be climbing up draft boards. Was looked at more of a day 2 pick a month or 2 ago. Now I'm seeing, he might go in the middle of the first, towards the end of the first. I heard someone, the University of Cincinnati radio host, compared him to Patrick Mahomes. So I don't see that at all. I've seen Ridder play a couple games at Cincinnati. He was very underwhelming in that game versus Alabama. A lot of QBs are underwhelming versus Alabama, so I won't pin that against him too much. But I don't know. I guess another big arm, athletic. That's where the position is moving to. Can you make the throw downfield, and can you escape the pocket and hurt people with your legs? So, I think all 3 quarterbacks that could possibly go in the first round can do that. Willis and Ridder a little more with their legs. I think Kenny with a little more with his decision making. Doesn't have the biggest arm, but definitely the most NFL ready. So you think of Mac Jones from last year, but it's all going to be fit for Kenny. Not sure if he's a great fit for the Steelers, but the other 2 are really wild cards, right? They're not NFL ready. We'll see where they go and how they can develop. But, I really wouldn't like the Steelers calling Ridder or Pickett at 20. If somehow Willis drops and you take him and he's your guy, go ahead. I have no problem with that. But the people I really like the Georgia defensive tackles. Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis, right? Jordan Davis is more your typical 3-4 nose tackle. Think Casey Hampton from the mid-2000s for the Steelers. I think he's like 6'6", 340. Just going to stuff the middle of the field, command double teams, allow those inside linebackers and that 3-4 system to fill gaps and make plays. So I would love him. Devontae Wyatt apparently had a great Senior Bowl week and a great pro day and a great combine. So he's climbing up draft boards. Those Georgia, defensive tackles, one, it's crazy that they are on the same team, especially they're picking Trayvon Walker to be a top 10 pick as well. So he's more of a defensive end, so he'll be gone before the Steelers draft. But wow, that is an insane defensive front for the Georgia Bulldogs. You can see why they won a national championship. But I would be extremely happy with, Jordan Davis or Devontae Wyatt. I think Wyatt could play more of that Cam Hayward to it, outside defensive end, especially while you still have a Lulu. Maybe gain some weight to go back to that middle, that 3 technique. But I think those would be great picks. In terms of the middle linebackers, I don't really think you need to draft Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean anymore. Devin Lloyd from Utah, Nakobe Dean from those Georgia Bulldogs. What a defense that is. I think Miles Jack, the addition of him in the offseason, really fills that void in the middle. I don't think you need to go after a middle linebacker in the first round. Hopefully Devin Bush can pick it up this year, but I think that's a day 2, day 3 need. Especially if Bush were to struggle again this year, you will need to find yourself another inside linebacker. But another intriguing prospect is Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. Did not think he was going to fall in the draft. I thought for sure a top 5, top 10 pick. I guess a slow 40 at the combine and some other metrics that weren't thrilling people. But man, if you turn on the tape, this guy can just play football. He would fill in perfectly with Minkah Fitzpatrick on the back end. Actually visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers today. So who knows? We've seen crazier things happen on draft day in the first round, people dropping that you really can't explain why. So who knows? I think that would be my top choice. If Kyle Hamilton falls to you at 20, I don't care who else is on the board. You take that guy. I think with the addition of Kyle Hamilton, immediate upgrade over Edmonds. And you really have the best defense in the league, in my opinion, if Kyle Hamilton drops to you at 20. Build that defense, try to score, 23, 24 points a game. Win games ugly, right? The Steelers have won Super Bowls doing that in the past, 05 and 08, with not great quarterback play from Big Ben. So keep building that defense. If Kyle Hamilton falls you at 20, I think that is the perfect situation for the Steelers. A couple other intriguing prospects, Daxton Hill out of Michigan. I guess he played more of that nickel corner last year at Michigan, but can play over the field as a safety. I think would be another good piece next to Minkah Fitzpatrick. I see him as more of a day 2 player, someone you can maybe get in the second round, but he's climbing up draft boards. So, if the Steelers really like him and he's sitting there at 20 and some of these other, marquee names are gone, I don't have a problem with you drafting Daxton Hill either. And Andrew Booth and Derek Stingley are both interesting corners. Andrew Booth out of Clemson, Derek Stingley out of LSU. Steelers addressed a need this offseason by signing Levi Wallace from Buffalo, but they still don't really know what they got at corner, right? Ahkello Witherspoon played 4 or 5 good games last year. I still think Cam Sutton's better suited for the slot. And Levi Wallace, had a bunch of starts under his belt, but, I think those are just average corners. I don't think you have anything. I don't think you have an Ike Taylor, as a number 1 guy. So if you really like Booth, I think Booth's fallen anywhere between 18 and 24 in the recent mocks. And Derek Stingley, I see him at 11 a lot to Washington in the mocks, but he has injury concerns the last couple years, so he very well could fall to that 20 spot. Caleb Farley fell last year, the Virginia Tech corner. A lot of people liked him as the top corner of the draft, but, those injury concerns scare teams. I don't think the Steelers would even take Stingley at 20 if he's on the board. Those people who have a history of injuries, they usually try to shy away from, but, that could be another interesting prospect. Some guys at the top, Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, Kayvon Thibodeau. I love Sauce Gardner, never allowed a touchdown in college. 6'3", lengthy, reminds people of Antonio Cromartie. That is his comp. So I think the top end of the board is exciting. I don't think you have any studs. I guess Aiden Hutchinson's a little bit, but I still think both Bosa brothers were better prospects. The stats in college proved that as well. But you got some interesting scenarios at the top. And, with no true number 1 quarterback on the board, it's going to be interesting. Like, are teams going to trade up for these QBs? Are teams just going to play the waiting game? I think the latest a QB won the draft was 16. EJ Manuel, God, it must have been 2013 or so to the Buffalo Bills. So, quarterbacks are in high demand. People will overpay for them, overpick for them. I guess we'll see how it goes. But in terms of my wish list for the Steelers, I would go Kyle Hamilton number 1, Jordan Davis 2, Devontae Wyatt 3. We'll go Malik Willis 4, and gosh, give me Daxton Hill 5 just to fill a need. You know, I'm Malik Willis or bust really in the first round, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Steelers take Desmond Ridder or another QB in the first round. They visited with damn near every single one of them. So I guess we'll see. It's gonna be great TV as always. Hopefully the Steelers make the right choice. They made some surprising ones with Edmonds a couple years ago. So hopefully they go back to their bread and butter, get some needs. Day 2, look for a wide receiver. John Mechie from Alabama, and I know they love George Pickens from Georgia as well. You know they're going to address it at some point. So Steelers great at drafting wide receivers in day 2. So exciting stuff. Like I said, the draft next Thursday, 4/28, should make for great television. Here we go, Steelers, and thanks for joining us, guys. I appreciate it.